This is very interesting. I've never done anything like this.
It's LeahMouseVlog, LeahMouseVlog, it's LeahMouse's vlog.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm gonna see if I can make bagels. I've never made bagels before, oddly enough, with all of my experience. This is very dark. With all of my experience with bread and baking and whatnot, I've never made bagels. I've gotten on this kick where I like having a cream cheese bagel with my breakfast stuff. Scrappy, must you follow me around everywhere? Are we playing tag now? What are you doing? What are you doing, you crazy little creature?
Yes, Mama's gonna try to make some bagels.
Anyway, yeah, I like having a bagel every day with my breakfast thing, with my little egg scrambler. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can make some bagels, save some money, have some fun. Why not? I'm sorry about the lighting in here, it's very weird. I don't know how this is gonna go. We're gonna give it a shot. All right, so I need yeast. Oh, look, right there. And I'm gonna need salt, it looks like. Apparently we need brown sugar, which I know is here somewhere. And I got my bread flour. Bread flour is very important when it comes to making bread products with yeast, because bread flour has more gluten than all-purpose flour, and it will give you the consistency that you're looking for. And if you use all-purpose flour, it just will come out all crappy and bad, and you don't want that. So bread flour is essential for yeast bread products. Keep that in mind. I learned that in school. See, this is the interesting thing about bagels that I did not know. There's no recipes for it in any of my recipe books. I'm like, why? It seems simple, right? Bagels. Apparently what you have to do is you have to boil them in a water bath before you bake them, and that's what gives them the shine on the outside. I did not know that. So for the water bath is very interesting. We have some honey. You put honey in the water bath. Don't ask, I don't know. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how this turns out. It's interesting that I've never done this before, but I have to locate some brown sugar. Okay, I found it. I need 2 3/4 teaspoons of yeast. How much is in one of these things? Approximately 2 1/4 teaspoon. Oh yeah, that makes it simple. Yeah, thanks Sally's baking page for not, you know, making the recipe line up with how much is in conveniently 1 packet of instant yeast. Yeah, that would be too easy, wouldn't it? So 2 3/4 teaspoons, this is 2 1/4. So I'll just have to dial back the other stuff. This is so dumb. Okay. We've got Archie here, our mixing bowl. He's always ready to go. So we got our yeast, and then we're gonna need some warm water, which is gonna help activate the yeast. Fun fact, the real thing that activates yeast is sugar, because yeast, active, dry, instant, whatever yeast isn't as much of a live culture. I mean, it is as fresh yeast. However, the yeast actually feeds off of the sugar, and that is what makes it expand and create air, which is what inflates your dough when you proof it and what gives it the rise, if you will. So literally when you add sugar with your yeast, the yeast goes and it eats that sugar and it gets gassy and bloated, much like we do when we eat certain things, right? And the gases that come out of the yeast is what makes the dough expand. Fun fact. You're learning here on this channel, you're learning. So since I'm only using 2 1/4 teaspoons, half a teaspoon is going to be absent from her recipe. So 1 1/2 cups warm water. I'm thinking we should dial it back just a hair to like 1 1/4 cups. So I'm gonna fill this guy up. Warm water is essential. It wakes up your yeast, brings it to the present moment, if you will. Teeny Houdini, always ready to help.
Hi, sweetie. Are you gonna help with the bagels? Do you know how to make bagels? Because you're so smart.
All right, Teeny. You must exit the baking area. All right, so I got my yeast packet. I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this directly into my mixing bowl here. Okay, and so now I'm gonna add the warm water. This is like caffeine for your yeast. It just kind of wakes it up a little bit. Makes it go, oh God, no, I gotta get up and go to work now. Time to earn my paycheck. We're gonna whisk this up a little bit. Whisk this up a little bit, just enough to get this yeast aware of the fact that it has a job to do here pretty soon. Wake up and get a job, you lazy bum. All right, so now I'm gonna cover this with a kitchen towel. This is like giving it its privacy while it takes its shower and gets ready to go, you know what I mean? Let that rest for about 5 minutes and then we're going to continue on and add the rest of our crap. Also for this, and whenever you make a bread product that isn't a quick bread, by the way, yeast bread, quick bread, they are two very different things. Yeast breads are obviously breads that require yeast, like a loaf bread, cinnamon rolls, dinner rolls, bagels, stuff like that. Quick breads are muffins, banana bread, zucchini bread, coffee cake, things like that. Those are quick breads. They don't require yeast and they have a completely different mixing method. Right, Houdini? So for this, we need a dough hook. And I do have a dough hook attachment from a mixer, of course. This is what is going to knead the bread and get the gluten activated, because the gluten is very important, because the gluten needs to be developed in order to give the bread its structure. Ow. Now I'm gonna start adding stuff to this. It's getting a little bubbly. It's getting a little bubbly. It's waking up. It knows what's going on. So I'm gonna add nearly 4 cups of the bread flour. The recipe calls for 4 cups, but since we're working with less yeast, we're gonna just undercut it just by a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but I love making yeast doughs. I absolutely love making yeast doughs because they are so like soft and they're so nice and fun to work with. Like I just love kneading dough. I love the smell of it. I love the feel of it and how just, I don't know, I love it. I love making yeast doughs. It's like one of my favorite things to make, but I don't have the time or patience to usually make it, you know what I mean? Because they take a long time, what with rising, proofing, and all the stuff. Okay, so next we're gonna add about a tablespoon of this brown sugar. There, that went. And we're gonna add about a teaspoon and a half of salt. This is extremely important. Do not forget your salt. I forgot to add salt to my bread dough one time and it came out very bad. So don't forget the salt. It's extremely important. I don't remember why, so I can't sound ultra smart on this one, but just trust me, it's very important. Do not forget your salt. See guys, I always tell you, baking is chemistry. You can't mess with it. You just can't. You can mess with it to some extent, but not when it comes to the parts that actually chemically react together. It has to work a certain way and you have to do it by the book. So now, put this guy back on Archie. Snap that guy into place. Now I'm gonna attach my dough hook, raise the bowl, and mix it up. And we've got some dough. This is wonderful, I love it. So now we're gonna turn this out. We're gonna turn this out onto the counter, and to do that, we need to sprinkle a little bit of flour on to the counter. So we can take our dough. Yay dough. We gotta knead it a little bit. Really get that gluten developed. That's what kneading does. It's developing the gluten that you need for it to expand and to make it into a bready, good thing. I'm not very technical with the, you know, nomenclature, and I'm sorry about that. This is actually a really tough dough. This is not as soft as like a bread dough. And no, I can't tell you why. I don't know. Oh my God, it smells so good. It feels so good. I just freaking love bread dough. Got ourselves a nice little dough ball here. So now what we gotta do is I'm just gonna put it right back into this guy, but we gotta coat the inside. And for that, I'm just gonna use a little bit of olive oil, wipe it around, smear it around, grab your dough ball, put it in there, give it a couple of turns, get it nice and coated. This keeps it from sticking while it's proving. Now, not everybody owns a proof box. So So what do? Well, it has to sit and rise and double in size for about an hour to an hour and a half. So a nice way to do that, fill a big bowl with hot water, put it in your oven. The oven is off, by the way. Put the hot water in your oven and put the bowl in there with the bowl of water. Because you need a warm, moist environment, yes, for the dough to rise. And this will make a nice little stand-in for a makeshift proofing box.
Is this fun? You having a good time?
You are so funny. All right, Teeny, excuse me, I have to open the oven. All right, so I took out one of the racks in the oven. Oh my God, Kat, you are fearless. So I'm just gonna stick my bowl of hot water back here in the oven. Then I'm gonna cover this guy with saran wrap so that it's encased and stick it in the oven, the bowl, and let it rise. And now I'm gonna go watch Hulu for an hour and a half while that rises. Be back soon. You can go, but be back soon. You can go, but bring back bagels. While your dough is going to rise, it's going to double in size. Fire me, just fire me. I'll see myself out. All right, an episode and a half of parenthood later, and let's check on our dough. Hasn't quite doubled in size. Let it go a little bit longer. This is why warm, humid days are perfect for bread making. The natural moisture and warmth in the air obviously really helps with the bread stuff. By the way, I hope that you guys enjoy these weird little vlogs that I do where I like make stuff and things. I know I don't have the Hollywood production value of what is required of YouTube these days, but you know, maybe if I did, I'd get a couple of more views, but I don't really care. This is my style, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't really feel like investing in a movie set just to make bagels at 4 o'clock in the morning for y'all's pleasure. So here we are, this is how I do it. I have fun. I hope you guys have fun. I mean, you're here. If you're still watching the video, then obviously you're having fun too. So it's a good time. It's a good time. I don't need ring lights and set lights and production teams and a big fancy $3 billion kitchen and perfect, you know, hair and makeup and all this and like gimmicky crap and perfect editing. I don't really care. I'm just making bagels in my kitchen early in the morning before the sun rises. That's all I'm doing. And I decided to include y'all. That's all this is. Oh, rise, rise. I want you to rise so that I can go on with the bagel making process. Let's review our next steps. We gotta line 2 large baking sheets with parchment. Good. We're gonna be punching down the dough as soon as it comes out, which releases the excess air, you know, and makes it like dough again. I'm thinking I didn't knead it enough, and that's probably why it didn't rise very well or something, or maybe it's the yeast. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm not selling these to a bake shop, you know, or being judged in a competition. This is just for me, for my breakfast. I don't care. I really don't care. So see, I gotta cut it into 8 pieces, shape them into balls, make a hole in the center, which somehow I remember doing in school. Maybe we didn't make these, but we made something. Must have made donuts or something. Okay, so the oven's got to be at 425. We got to do this boiling thing. This is new to me. This is so strange. So a large wide pot. Might as well fill the pot with water while we're at it. This is our pot drawer. The other big pot is in the dishwasher from me making cabbage soup last night. I made cabbage soup for JJ because he likes to eat well, and he is on this cabbage soup kick. And it's not as gross as it sounds, I promise. It's actually pretty good. When he first told me like cabbage soup, I was like, what? I was thinking it was like cabbage in hot water, like, you know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like the Bucket family, how they ate the cabbage stuff. And I'm like, ew, really? No, it's actually really good. The base is chicken stock, and there's celery and onions and carrots and all kinds of spices in there, and tomatoes and chicken He added some pieces of chicken and stuff, and then of course the cabbage, and it's actually really good. Like, I tried it. I tried a little spoonful of the one I made, and I'm like, ooh, that's good, and I just kind of couldn't stop. I'm like, this is actually pretty good. So I made it for him twice now. It got the seal of approval from him, which is a big deal because he's a good cook. Anyway, so that's the long version of why the other pot is in the dishwasher, because you totally needed to know that. 2 quarts of water and 1/4 cup of honey. Well, I don't know how much 2 quarts of water is, but we're just gonna fill the thing. Oh, look at that! This pot actually has a freaking measuring thing on the side. This is amazing. Too bad it doesn't have quarts. Thanks for that. Awesome. We got liters and cups. How many cups is in a quart? 4. I love this feature on the phones. Okay, so 4 cups, and we're almost there. Sweet. That's about where I was gonna stop anyway. Okay. I had no idea that my pots had those markings on the inside. We learned something together. I'm gonna do that thing where I put you in the microwave so that I can like use my hands. So I got the water. We gotta put in 1/4 cup of honey. Now, do you guys remember from another vlog? Do you remember how to measure out liquid ingredients? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk down to you. Not these. Dry stuff, right? This is for dry ingredients, liquid ingredients. Dry, liquid, okay? So we gotta do 1/4 cup of honey. Ooh, God, I love honey. This is pure unfiltered honey. It's a kind that's like all crusty and crystallized. Oh my God, it's so good. Honey is awesome. Thank you, bees. Save the bees. We love the bees. I'm just gonna eyeball this because I don't feel like trying to pour it into here because it's such a small amount and then scrape it out. So I'm just gonna pour it directly into the water based on how much I think that's gonna be. Okay. Don't do it this way. This is just me being cocky. Wipe it from the rim. And we're gonna pull the dough up because I'm pretty sure my timer is about to go off. All right, bagel dough. Remove the plastic. All right. Ooh, that smells so good. Dude, I know it's literally just flour, yeast, sugar, and salt, but it smells good. So I'm gonna punch this down. Ooh, you guys gonna see this. All right, so we punched it down. Do a little flour sprinkle. Pull this guy out of here. Awesome. Okay, I gotta get my parchment stuff set up here. I do have a cutter. Where is it? Well, I used to have one, I don't know. So for the meantime, I'm just gonna use a spatula. So I'm gonna cut this in half this way and this way. We gotta do 8 pieces here, and they don't have to be perfect, of course. And then cut this guy in half. Cut this guy in half. Cut this guy in half again. I've never used a spatula to cut dough before. This is interesting. I gotta get my parchment lined baking sheets, and then I can start shaping these. I grab this guy, basically make it into a little ball by sort of tucking the edges underneath. These are gonna be some weird shapes. Okay. All right, so now I gotta make a hole in the middle. Do one of these. See? Hole! We have a bagel, a doughy bagel. Put this guy right here. I guess this is like basically the same process you would use for making donuts. The important thing is to just tuck all the edges under, right? Like that. Just make a hole in the center. Give it a little twirl. There you go. Okay, a couple of these are gonna like super suck because they're like really small and strange, but it doesn't matter. Again, these are just for me. And this is my first time, okay? What am I gonna say? Okay, I gotta preheat the oven to 425. And now we're gonna start this water bath and whisk this honey in here. Like so. I'm supposed to boil it and then focus on my face, even though it's gross. Boil it and then reduce to medium-high heat. And then we're supposed to drop in the bagels 2 to 4 at a time. I think we're only gonna be able to get 2 at a time in this guy. If we're gonna see how this works, I should probably grab a spoon so I can flip stuff. Spoon. This is my bagel flipping spoon. Bring this guy over here. Bring this guy over here. I like having like a decent sized kitchen. It's quite nice. So I guess traditionally the thing in the water bath, I mean, honey is what we're using and that can work, obviously. I guess malt syrup is the traditional thing used in bagels, and that's what gives it its unique malt flavor. I mean, I don't know, I've never really particularly noticed a flavor of bagels. I just kind of eat them and go from there. Supposed to put these in a couple at a time. We start with this guy and we're supposed to let it float. We're supposed to do 1 minute on each side. So there's our floating bagels. I guess we could do this other little stupid one at the same time. It's small enough it can fit in there. This is very interesting. I've never done anything like this. Flip this guy over. Yeah, these look terrible on the bottom. I am definitely gonna have to revisit these sometime later when I don't suck at them. These look terrible. Look, I might know how things work, but actually executing them, I mean, you know, it's a gamble. Trial and error. You don't get good at something just the first time you try it, right? Well, if nothing else, that honey in the boiling water really smells good, and if I had a cold, I wouldn't anymore. Okay, so I prepared some egg wash, which is basically stuff that you brush on the top of things like this. Makes it shiny and brown and nice. And basically all it is an egg or an egg white with some milk or some water. It's just egg wash. So we're gonna brush these guys over here. I'm sorry you're so far away. Got my little pastry brush here. You wanna make sure you get the top and the sides and the middle bit. Egg wash was always my least favorite part of baking in school. I don't know why, I just found it so gross. I'm like, ew, why are we brushing it with an egg? That's so nasty. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And our oven is preheated, perfect timing. Just gonna get these guys all egg washed up. These actually look kind of okay. I mean, they're definitely not like bakery quality, but I mean, they'll do. They're actually pretty tough already. That I'm surprised that water bath did that much with sort of cooking the outside the way that it did. This guy is enormous. This is the Goliath bagel, and I'm gonna save him for a breakfast sandwich because he is definitely worthy of breakfast sandwich stature because he is big. And even though I don't have a big Hollywood studio set up like these people and production crew and everything, I mean, you gotta give me props. You know how hard it is to do this stuff, you know, one-handed while holding a camera and trying to find creative places to set it up. I think I deserve more credit, to be honest. The oven's preheated and bagel-shaped facsimile things are ready to go. They're egg washed, and we are going to bake it at 425 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes, rotating halfway through, which is a good technique for baking, by the way. Here we go. I feel like I'm on the DIY version of the Great British Baking Show. Be your own crew! All right, so we're gonna set the timer for 12 minutes so that we can rotate halfway through. And there we go. Now we're gonna clean up after ourselves because that is what good people do in the kitchen. It's about time to rotate these bad boys. Let me tell you what, they smell awesome. Piggy agrees.
The bagels smell awesome.
Totally couldn't tell that was me, could you? I know, I'm awesome. Rotate. Wow, they actually kind of look like bagels. I don't know why I'm surprised. I mean, that is what I was going for. 12 more minutes. The sun is just starting to come up and I'm making bagels. Well, the parchment paper did not like the oven, but here they are. Oh my god, they actually feel like bagels. Again, I don't know why I'm surprised, but I don't know. That big one, that monstrous one, Monstro here, Gigantor, that one looks the most like a bagel out of all of these. I mean, they're all pretty okay for homemade bagels for my very first time not knowing what the hell I'm doing. But yeah, he definitely looks like the most like a bagel. Is this where I play like super cheery, happy, upbeat, twinkly music and like do a close-up shot, like slow pan overhead of my creations? And now I guess we have to do a taste test, right? I mean, that's kind of the whole point. They look ugly, but they might taste awesome. So I'm gonna fish my cream cheese out of the back of the fridge here. I'm gonna use, I am not going to use the Wusthof knives that JJ has to cut these things because I will lop my finger off. Serrated knives are nothing to mess around with, especially really, really sharp ones or really, really good ones. So I'm gonna dip down here into my old knife set and use the one from my thing. I think I'm not super hungry, so I'm gonna go with this little stupid tiny one. The bottom actually, I mean, it doesn't look awesome, but it doesn't look terrible either. It's still warm, so I don't feel like toasting is necessary. I'm just gonna slice this guy open and see what we got. Strangely, they seem a little underbaked, so I think toasting it would probably be a good option. You live and learn. You live and learn. Yeah, they probably could have baked for a little longer, but I started to panic because I started smelling like burn, which I'm pretty sure was just the parchment paper being an asshole. I know for next time. Whatever. So we're gonna toast this guy up, this teeny tiny little guy. I don't know if that's gonna make a difference, but we're gonna try it. I at least have to taste it, even if I just eat like one little bite of the bit that actually got baked properly. I wanna taste it. I wanna see what all the faluba's about. Houdini likes sitting in the window, as most cats do. So we got the dishwasher running right here, and we got a Miracle Force ambient thing going on over here. That's what all the superfluous sound is, for which I apologize. All right, I toasted up this poor little soul, which, you know, I mean, it didn't bake it anymore, but the middle's still kind of ick, so I will avoid that, but I think it's good to go. So we're gonna cream cheese this guy up here. Got my Philadelphia cream cheese. I'm gonna try a little bite without the cream cheese though. I wanna see just kind of what it tastes like on its own. All right, without the cream cheese. I mean, it's a bagel, you know. Bagels don't have extraordinary flavors unless you like put stuff in them like cinnamon, sugar, or fruit, or whatever. It's not bad, I don't hate it. Pretty good for my first attempt, I would say. There we go. Well, thank you for joining me on that adventure. I learned a lot, so if I ever try this again, I know better what to do, I know better what not to do. Maybe you guys learned something as well. Keep an eye on that parchment paper on the bottom rack of the oven, because it got nasty. Thanks for hanging out. That was a lot of fun. Join me next week for stroopwafels. No, I'm kidding, I'm not gonna make those. Maybe eventually, definitely not next week. As always, watch out for the sheep, and vlog phrase of the day is bagels at 4 a.m. Girl, you nuts. I'll see you next time. I love you guys so much. Okay, bye.